Greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well, and welcome back to today's bonus upload. Before we jump into it, a couple links. As you know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, and the merch to help the channel to continue to grow and go. Links to Patreon and PayPal are in the description below. The merch is displayed directly under the video. Also, Dogman, Frightening Encounters, Volume 1 through 3, the audiobook versions. They were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeff Nadolny. Those audiobooks are available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes, the links to which are also in the description as well. And finally, last but definitely not least, if you'd really like to help support this channel to continue to grow and go, simply subscribe. It doesn't cost a cent. Click that like button. It takes half a second. If you don't want to miss out on any of the informative uploads I put out daily, click that bell icon. And finally, last but definitely not least, please leave a comment. Why? Well, because all these things, they really do help this channel to continue to grow and go. And folks, they definitely matter. Now, everyone, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's get on with today's bonus, shall we? All right, guys. While working on Victor's book, which took about 4 weeks, it is all written out. It's got to get cleaned up, fine-tuned. I realized in a lot of the information that I had compiled, whether it be audio, emails, texts, this and that, there were Q&As that were done that were not called in. Subscribers sent me questions, and Victor shot out the answers to me, and I figured, hey, it's valuable information. Let's make a bonus out of it. So here we go. Bohica asks, Manchurian candidate, my question is, do we really have a way of deleting one's memories? Bohica, we can take you back to a place in time or erase an event in your mind in only seconds. It can be done in the field if you choose not to speak with somebody about treatment. It's totally up to you how it gets done. It's better in the office, where it can be done in 7 seconds. That's all it takes to erase an event. They have offered to do that to me so I can sleep, but that would entail doing my entire adult job. And I had rather live with the nightmares as to lose my entire memory. Simon Earl asks, if I may ask a question to Sebastian and yourself, do werewolves, when they meet other werewolves, have a chat first? Or do they go straight into alpha scenario to see who is the boss? Basically, I'm trying to see if there are any human similarities to werewolves. Simon, they can pretty much tell by appearance who will be the alpha, though some will still challenge this. But it's not one of those scenarios, watch out for the little guy. In the werewolf, the little guy is not going to be the alpha male. Sebastian is 8'2", and I have one in captivity right now that's 9'3", and could easily mop the floor with Sebastian, no problems. Not on count of age so much, but size. I've seen them pass in the wilds, and have heard them speak to one another and just keep on moving as they do so. If it's a female and they don't have any with them, they will have a conversation and try to talk the female into staying with them. That make them no promises, but tell them what they will and want have done in that household. And that's how they meet lots of the times, but it doesn't turn into a lifelong commitment, something most people have forgotten about nowadays. Laura, a.k.a. Zach Z Girl 77, asks, while listening tonight to a question about their speech abilities, it made me think of the Sierra sounds from Ron Moorhead. Are they real? Ron Moorhead has made some amazing recordings over the years. And then he got involved with a man by the name of Al Berry, and his work started to go downhill fast. If you are able to find any of his recordings that do not include Al Berry, it's probably real. But if it has Al's name on it, I would assume it to be a fake just like Al. Dean Michael asks, my question is in regards to all of the big three. Do they show emotion, like regret, remorse, or even jealousy? Yes, most of them do. The werewolf shows the most, in my mind, probably because he can speak and knows how to use words. You can see it in their faces and eyes, and they bond with 2, maybe 3 females for life, and are true to them, always taking care of the female, making sure they eat and have plenty of what they need. The Bigfoot also shows it in their face and with their eyes. If they are sorrowful for doing something, and the alpha will always take care of his so-called pod or family, and will accept others into it if they are willing to play by his rules. I don't think they are as jealous as the werewolf, but the alpha will have his pick of the females. And if a young male and female was to join his family, the young male better to be ready to share his female partner with him, or even lose her to him. Then we have the Dogman. He is the whore of the lot. He will sleep with as many as that will let him. We have never seen them bond for any great length of time and show absolutely no jealousy whatsoever. No regrets in these creatures, no remorse, known to dig and sleep in graveyards all across the USA. I believe this is where they get that smell from, because they don't have it in captivity. But when called back in, you will know they were there ahead of time. Mark Schlingoff asks, William, does Sebastian know about any of his offspring? Does he get to name any of them? Yes, he knows he is being used to bring many, many, many more werewolf cubs into the world. But he doesn't seem to mind it at all. It has been explained to him what for and the supposed good it would do if the need was to arise. Actually, he leaves that up to the ladies unless he feels a special bond to one of the cubs. I don't know of but 7 he has named since I have met him and been dealing with him one-on-one like I have. Good Bones asks, William, there's been a lot of online reporting of military operations going on, clearing out deep underground military bases, killing child traffickers, and saving children. Would this be the kind of thing the breed and tag Dogman could be used for? Yes, they could be used for that if I was ordered to send someone of some sort. I would like to see proof of what they are supposed to be guilty of before I add more deaths to my shoulders for unnecessary death, when we live by a court of laws, which I will say is probably flawed, but I live by them just like everyone else should live by them. I'm not saying I wouldn't follow orders, but I would ask for proof of a crime before I sent a Dogman to rip someone to shreds in front of his family, probably. Brian Kulig asks, a question for William. How big is Sebastian's enclosure? He has 8 lady werewolves with him, so the enclosure must be huge. He has 3 that he is rotating to in and out every 6 weeks. Things are rearranged and look different each time he goes into a new enclosure. The smallest is 5 acres, and the 2 others are 8 acres each. They take dozers each time, move boulders, and all of the interiors change. Everything except the entrance. It never changes where they go in and out. Chelsea Allen asks, is there anything ever you've dealt with that was once human? Have you heard of the Ninjin, those giant humanoid fish things? If you have, what do you know about them? Is there any monster that looks human? Have you heard about the stairs that pop up in the wilderness? What do you know about them? No, I've never dealt with anything that's now a monster that was once a human. If it's a monster, it's a monster. If it's a human, it's a human. I've heard of so many different kinds of creatures in 35 years now that you would not believe it, Chelsea. Basically, my unit only deals with things that walk on two legs, sometimes, and four legs, sometimes, and live on land. The nearest thing I can think of is the Goat Man from Arizona. It's supposedly half human and half goat and walks on two legs. With my 3 sons working as game wardens, I've asked them about this, and they tell me it's used to make you pay more attention to your surroundings. There are no staircases in the woods. It's only used to train your eyes to watch for details when searching for missing persons and things of that nature. The story has been blown way out of proportion when it was only meant as a training tool. Daryl Ogle asks, are they taught to fight, or is it just natural instinct? It's all natural ability. They sure don't need to be shown any more than just a few swiping moves to get them started. Then they take it up and continue on from there on their own. We do get in with them at a very early age before they can do serious damage to us and show them how to swipe someone's legs. And that is enough to set the wheels into motion. Huckabuck Ratchet City Hero asks, Wild Bill, any truth to any Dogman having horns? No, Huckabuck, they do not have horns on their heads whatsoever. Sailor X, what are your thoughts on the Lizard Man sightings from the late 80s in South Carolina? I went with another agent as backup and followed his orders. It was his case. We stayed there 4 days, and he called the hunt off. He stated that we had and needed to get back and get reassigned to better cases. I did ask what was wrong with this case, and he stated to me, did you see any signs of a giant lizard? And I told him that I would not be on walking trails looking for a lizard man anyway. We should be in the wetlands getting dirty, sleeping out there in its area, not back at a cheap-ass motel. But once again, it was not my case. Tim asks, are you referring to the so-called elites who harvest children's blood after torturing them for endochrome? Or are you speaking of actual vampires? Also, are you aware of reptilians? But why in the hell are you still breeding more? With all the technology we have, do you really think we will ever freaking use werewolves again in war? I've seen people's eyes turn into lizards or snakes, like on TV. That's obviously not normal. I have the screenshots on my phone from pausing the video. People believe these reptilians live in underground bases and tunnels. And I know there are tunnels all over the United States. You can drive all the way across the United States and never come above ground. No, Tim, not the elites. Yes, Tim, there are actual vampires, and they do suck or drink blood, but they don't do it in the way you're thinking. They don't bite someone and suck the blood that way. They go into places that have whole blood available and steal it and drink it or suck it from the bags or pour it into bottles. Back in the olden days when this first started happening, the Red Cross has more buildings broken into that are not manned 24 hours a day than some fast food gas stations get robbed. But the police handle these cases because of the B&E and the charges that can go with it. Yes, I know about the reptilians and their habits. They love to show up at presidents' press conferences and have been present on many of them. We actually monitor the talks and pick them out before they leave the White House. We sat and stood behind the president, above him behind curtains, and watched everyone's eyes, just like you said. And if we see the change, we will come up with some lame excuse as to why they can't come back to another press conference meeting. Okay, here, Tim. They say that war will never come to our good old United States. What if it does, and your 18-year-old son is called up to fight against just scores of enemies that wave us outnumbered 7-1. These are not good odds your son is coming home at all. Now, look at these numbers. A fighting force of 5,000 enemy troops are advancing, and I lead a group of 250 Dogman into battle, and turn them loose with orders to destroy them all. They won't stop till they are all dead, which will probably take 2 hours. The enemy has taken a huge hit of 5,000 men, and we lose 125 Dogman and 12 or 13 handlers. Do the math. And yes, President Trump has already extended the program through 2024. And finally, Tim, your last statement is almost true. There are East Sector and West Sector, but it does not allow you to drive all the way across the United States from side to side without coming out. You must come out before you get to the Mississippi River going both directions and cross the river on land. Other than that, you can go just about any place you want to underground. John Remy asks, the ammonia story is from Kanawha City, West Virginia, not from Idaho, unless there are 2 totally exact stories, which I doubt. I know this because I know the original place where this happened. What's up? Exclamation point, question mark, exclamation point, question mark. Somebody's lying here. You can block me if you want, but it is what it is. Not trolling. I've been listening to Jeff for quite a while, but this is a little too weird. I agree. It is weird, along with the other 49 cases that I have in my files that are so close you could copy one for all of the rest. John, I've never lied in my life, and I am 60 years old now. I'm too damn old to start. Well, I'm going to butt in on this one too, John. I already knew about ammonia and spraying it around trees and things like that. I think most of the populace did who have some sort of outdoors experience or animal experience. So I don't really know. I know this was kind of upsetting to Bill, but he's answered your questions, and he actually answered this one too. So I'm not really sure how we're going to go on this. I know I'm not going to be blocking anybody, but you got to think of it this way. You called him out, and he still answered your question and wanted it answered publicly. So there's your answer, John. The Limey Bastard asks, William, when you say mind altered that you have used on cryptids, can you tell us how this is done? Most of the time on cryptids, it is done with a machine, almost like subliminal stimulus, which is how it works on humans as we administer it. We put a certain drop inside our ear so we don't pick up on the stimulus sent from our phone while we are just carrying on a normal conversation with them. You will see a confused look come across their face, and you know that a certain part of their mind has just been erased from their memory. It's almost like they know something happened, but they don't know what happened anymore. 330 Crypto asks, how many Sasquatch from Hanabia, Oklahoma, were guided out of the area or hunted after the harassment? Can any of the big 3 sense or perceive human character? As to say, can they see if a person is kind to others or animals and peaceful, or an angry, aggressive person who means to hurt or destroy? I mean, an unarmed person they cross paths with, or are we all the same to them? There were 4 that were forcefully pushed out of that area, and we ended up having to kill 2. The Alpha and what I would assume was next in charge. I think they all can perceive the character of a person, but I only believe that two would take that into account of their thinking. The Bigfoot and werewolf both can see into your soul. If something is wrong with me, Sebastian is the first to bring it up, and I ask how he knew. He always tells me he can see my heart. Yes, he can see it. The 5 he killed that night, he knew they were talking about doing that to him for a long while, meaning the guards, before they did it. But he didn't feel he could come to me with that information that I would have sided with the agents. I then struck him playful and told him those men have lied to me, and I know I have to pick the truth from the fake. You, as far as I know, have never told me a lie. And I've checked on a lot of things that you told me over the years that I could check on, and you always spoke truthfully, so why would I not listen to you? He raised his hands to his head and slowly lowered them by his side and said, because of what I am. They will know if you are out there hunting them. That's a disadvantage we have. They know if they break certain rules that people like myself will come after them, and that we are highly trained and we don't fear them at all. So they perceive us as a threat and treat us as such. This is why I speak and offer them a way to go back and get re-altered again, but to keep their lives. I always thought it would show that I knew I could kill them and that I knew the outcome before we ever fought. Wolfka asks, since you still have a number of creatures still in captivity, are they still breeding, or are the females taking some sort of birth control to prevent unwanted pregnancies? No, just as soon as we know they are pregnant, they are moved to a different enclosure, and a different female takes her place with Sebastian. On an average now, we are getting about 36 newborn Dogman a year and about 42 to 48 new werewolves a year. It could be way more than that, but the program has not been run correctly in years, so I don't plan on changing much with the area of births a year from right now. Zach, guess, statement. But Jeff, if you want my childhood encounter that I have mentioned a few times on here, I'll share it. Now I think I can handle opening up. It's rough, but a lot easier now thanks to William taking his time to give us info. Okay, Bill, here. I'm ready to sit down and listen to this childhood encounter. I truly believe them to be the worst kind. Just remember, these are chance encounters, and the chance of it happening more than once is super slim, unless you are out there hunting them or researching them. Zach, my email is in the description below. I would love to hear your encounter. I will respect your anonymity, or if you choose to be named. My email is nadalny.m.jeff@gmail.com. There's a upside down triangle on the side bar, and you can just click that and find my Gmail account. Kevin Clarkson asks, it's me again, LOL. Here's one. Does Sebastian like music? If so, what kind does he know if the Dogman and Bigfoot does too? Thanks again. Only speak for Sebastian. He loves classic country and classic rock as long as it's from the 60s, 70s, 80s, and early 90s. He is a fan. Put on any other genre, and he will turn angry rapidly. He shows his bad side to everyone then. Easy Rider asks, William, could you ask Sebastian if he would tell you of any kind of noise or gesture that we can do if we run into a werewolf or a Dogman that would help us make it out alive? I explained to him what I have explained to everyone in previous episodes, and he said us being human that we are just going to have to deal with it the best we could with each meeting. We are not the same breed as another, and would easily be picked up on if we tried to imitate either one, and only draw more attention to ourselves, and you don't want to do that. Vincent Allenson asks, also, fellow mentioned shadow beings. My advice and my practice, always rebuke in Jesus' name. Claim the authority he provides in his word and gift to us. Those entities are not nice. I've seen one kill a man. You need to take serious rebuke fervently, then command it back to the realm it came from. But under the supervision of Christ Jesus, this way, at least, it won't go off to bother another person elsewhere. Vincent, Bill here. I would love to hear the story of how a shadow person killed a man in front of you. If you would not mind sharing it, or if you don't want to, I understand. That also is hard to watch someone die, and you can't protect them. Thanks in advance, either way. Bill. Yorktown, 1781. Statement. So before I read this statement from Yorktown, I'm really, once again, William has answered some of your questions numerous times. I think that he took the statement you made like you were pointing at him. But here's your statement. William said he is an 06. Is their rank the same as military or the department he works for with? Seems to me that it's a Defense Department program. It's CIA, and he said that numerous times, Yorktown. If William is an 07, he is an equivalent to a brigadier general or rear admiral. I am not so comfy with this crap knowing what and who the powers that be are that have ruled our country for about 100 years. Deep state, satanic cabal, no friends of mine. Well, he answered you, and I'm going to answer you too. First, we really don't have anything to say about who runs the country. We can say we don't like it, but until we stand up and do something about it, then it's going to remain how it is. And I think it's been a lot longer than 100 years. I think that the powers that be have been in control for a very, very, very long time. Probably longer than the United States has even existed. Look at our dollar bill. Bill kind of took offense to it, though. Thought you were calling him satanic. And he is a brigadier general. And as you know, the CIA works hand in hand with the military. And they, of course, is a military rank. I really don't want to read any of Bill's comment back. I know that it really angered him and upset him a lot. But the last part of the sentence was, I will pray for your forgiveness tonight. So he is, from the conversations that I've had, he is a religious man, believes in the Christ Savior. But I don't know. I don't even know where you were going with that statement. And he's answered numerous questions of yours, and you've been amazing. You've made great comments, and I don't know what happened on this one. We're just going to go by this now. Kevin Rockwell asks, William, can you tell us relatively specific locations of the former Oregon and Colorado facilities and what they were used for now? Let's just say it involves what I deal with on most days when I am working. Okay, Kevin? Fort Collins, Colorado, and Umatilla, Oregon. That will get you just above known locations of these facilities. Texas Coup asks, I have a question for William. I live a few miles east of Seguin, Texas. Is there anything around me? Some nights I can tell that there is an alpha predator that comes through because there is no sound. No coyote howling, no crickets chirping, nothing. Just wondering if it's any of the three or just something local. Thanks. Nothing to worry about in the way of the numbers game, but to answer your question, you have two of them sneaking through your area. Both Dogman and Werewolf are present. Sorry, I can't give numbers, but you are relatively safe. Griffin 2026. If a person had to kill one of the big three in self-defense or thinking that it was a deer or something, especially one that was tagged, would that person be in trouble with the government, since it's considered government property? They very well could be if they don't handle it correctly. If it's tagged, bury and walk away and never talk about it to no one. No pictures, no nothing. We are going to know when it dies because we will get a marker from the chip, and 2 men will be sent to retrieve the body. And if it's on your land and they ask permission to get it, say go ahead, but do not offer your help or anything like that. Take no souvenirs from the creature like a claw or anything. Take the memory alone, and you will wish you could lose that. But then they will know if you were hunting this creature or if you were telling the truth and had to kill it, so you better be of sound mind and body before you decide to kill one outright. Elf Prime asked, William, is there a special federal department or front company organization where I could apply to work in this or a related field? I believe my educational background, both officially and unofficially, would make me an asset, and I do not have family or anyone else that will dig into the circumstances if something goes wrong and I end up deceased. I'd sincerely appreciate my request being taken seriously. The organization would be able to attain and addition more loyal. There is an episode where I go over some of the basics that are required to work in this field. You have seen it, and do you meet the requirements set forth for their guidelines? If so, forward me a copy of your resume and get it to Jeff, and I'm sure Jeff would not mind getting it over to me and let me know what the outcome would be. First thing I would recommend is going back and listening to the Q&A and make sure you qualify first. Bill. Archangel 03. I had a question about a werewolf interaction. Do they seem to have a curiosity of people and objects, look kind of like chimps? Not saying that they have any relation, just curious if they have the same curiosity response to people and objects, such as deep inspection. They have been ordered to stay away from people as much as possible. And I guess they do. But with the population the way it is, it's almost impossible to do that anymore. And they are not like chimps in any way that I can see. I have noticed when I take a new object into the enclosure that Sebastian and the females will inspect it for long length of time to try to figure out what it does and if it's to any use of them at all. So yeah, they do inspect things fairly deep. Saint 777 asks, could William get pics of Sebastian? What does Sebastian have to say about Anubis from Egyptian texts? Could you also get a pic of females or babies? Last question. Why is the government still breeding the werewolves? Are they still being used as a military weapon? Statement. As far as shadow people, they can hurt you. I encountered one night and it jumped into my body. I felt like I was spinning like a top and I felt it attacking me. I prayed to get it out. I couldn't scream or move during the attack at all. Answers. I have pictures, but I can't share them with you at this time. I'm sorry. We've never really talked about Anubis or Egyptian writings, but I need to before something happens to him or myself. In case another war breaks out and it's on American soil, I'd rather lead a group of werewolves into battle than a bunch of our young men and women. Just going to use these numbers for instance. An enemy force advances on me in a group of 250 werewolf, and they think because their numbers are superior, they're going to win. We are on the opposite side of the hill, and they charge into us first thing. What are they going to think when they see us also charging into them? The fight will be over in a couple of hours tops, with the enemy losing 5,000 men, forced to 250 werewolves and 25 handlers. We may lose half of those werewolves and half of the handlers, so do the math. And what if I led 47,680 male werewolves into battle? Who would you bet on? I know they will be used through 2024. It's already been signed, and before I leave, I will ask for another extension. Hopefully, it will be President Trump I get to ask for it. I believe he would sign it for another longer period if he knows who is going to run behind him. And if it's Gov'T, he will also back it and may push it more. I would really like to hear your story about this shadow person. Say 12 hours before it took control of your body till 12 hours after it left your body, if that would be possible. DD Kegs 888 asks, William, thanks for your service. Sir, congrats on your promotion. It's good to know that a man like yourself is in a command position, not just collecting a check. I live in North Tampa, 33647. Any numbers of the big three would be appreciated. I know you can't give me numbers of Bigfoot. I have several experiences with Bigfoot and Dogman and at least one juvenile stalking me in southern Maine. No werewolves yet. Tampa, to me, is a perfect environment for them. I just saw a 4-foot-long wild boar wandering through our gated community and plenty of deer, possum, coon, armadillo, and feral cat. Also, we have winged humanoids here as well. See Beyond Creepy on YouTube. Zephyr Hills and adjacent areas. 12 to 15 miles from my home. I've driven the roads they were sighted. I guess this is outside of your area of expertise, but any info would be appreciated. We are right next to a preserve lands with plenty of game and water for survival. Sir, former Airborne Ranger, 3rd Ranger Battalion, Combat Medic 91A, 1985 and 1986. Thank you, William. Depending on severity, vitamin C, Plainquil, zinc, azithromycin seem to be reserved for critically ill. You should be using Zicam products and vitamin C at the very least. Be careful of intubation and forced O2. In the cytokine storm would be attacking your lungs, and forced intubation can actually damage lung tissue. I have advanced my medical studies as a licensed medical professional for over 20 years, post-military, and there is plenty of studies proving these methods to be true. Well, first things first, thank you for your service, sir. I am sure we ate some of the same dirt a time or two by the looks of things in 85. Also, it's people like you I like to surround myself with most. Or, at all times, I would love to be able to buy you a cold one day, sir. Anyway, I can't be giving out numbers, but don't be roaming around after dark on your feet and stay in well-lit areas. And the werewolves badly outnumber Dogman almost 3 to 1. Stay close at night. Keep the teenager and little ones on a short leash after dark, male and female. Alright guys, like I said, a lot of valuable information that wasn't done in a call-in format. Does it make it any less valuable? No. And I did get a lot of kind of filler from these kind of Q&A emails and stuff like that for the book. There was a lot of information to go through. It took about 4 weeks to write. I think it's going to be about the same to edit, clean up, and present to Amazon. So I'm looking forward to all of that. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed sharing it with you. Everyone, please stay safe, happy, healthy, and ever vigilant while in the woods. Please keep an eye on your pets, your children, your loved ones. These things are real and they are watching. And God bless everyone.